Welcome to Lesson 9 from Module 3. This is going to be using what I've been talking about in class, where we're moving away from the visuals with the squares and moving away from number lines, and we're thinking about just kind of doing it what's called numerically, using just the numbers. So on this one that we're starting with right here, we've got 3 that's 5 pieces to make a whole. We have 1 out of a something where it takes 3 pieces to make a whole. These pieces, because 5 makes a whole, those pieces are going to be smaller than these. So we have to cut them so that they're equal size. So what we're going to start with is just by looking at multiples. So let's make our 2 columns here. 5 times 1, get my pen, 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2, 10, times 3 gets us to 15. And we can guess here, this is a 3, so it's probably going to be like that. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2, 6. 3 times 3, 9. 3 times 4, 12. 3 times 5 gets us 15. And we can see that it has those 2 in common. So those are what we're going to be using. Oh, I'm making it around the 5. I mean to make it around the 15. There we go. We've got a 15 and a 15. So let's go ahead and use that. So for our denominator, it's going to be 15. We're adding it to another 15. And then when we think about how do we get there, so we have 3 as a numerator. 5 times 3 will get us there. So we have to do the same to this one. 3 times 3 is 9. And now what we're adding to that is 1/3. And we need to get to 15, and we know by looking over here that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them gets us that 15. So we multiplied by 5, so we have to multiply this times 5 too. So it becomes 5/15. Now they're the same size, and we can add them together. 9 plus 5 is equal to 14. 10 plus 5 would be 15, but this is 1 less than that because it's 9, not 10. So that's our answer right here, 14/15. Let's cruise on down. We'll find one that's a wee bit more complicated. Let's see. This is a good one right here. So let's take a look at 2/9 and 5/6. And so we know that 9 plus 1, or 9 times 1, 9 times 2 is 18. And then 9 times 3 is going to be 27. That's pretty big. Now let's do the other one. 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3 happens to be 18. So we've already got something in common here. So that can be our common denominator. So if we have right here, we've got 2/9 plus 5/6. And now in order to change them up, get a different color here, we can say 2 and 9. So we've got 9 times 2. We have to multiply this one times 2. And that'll get us 18. Now we go 2 times 2, we get a 4. We've treated them both the same. We've multiplied them both by the same thing. Now this one over here, in order to get 6 to become an 18, multiply times 1, 2, 3 times 3. This one has to be also times 3. Treat them equally. Here's our addition sign. And we're going to have a common denominator of 18, so they're the same size now. 5 times 3 is 15. So we have 15 pieces that size. When we combine them, 5 plus 4 is 9, and we have an extra 10 hanging out. So 18 is what it takes to make a whole. We have more than that. So we have a whole. 18 goes into 19 one full time with 1 left over. That's your answer. Let's take a look at D. So over here we've got 5, 4, and we have 10. So I'm thinking about this, and I know that 20 is a multiple of all of them. So we need to get to 20 for each of them. And then thinking about it, I know 5 times 4 would get me there. So I have to multiply by my top one, also 2 times 4. That's going to get me an 8. And I know 4 times 5 would get me that, so I have to multiply this one times 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 10 times 2 gets me 20, so I have to multiply this one times 2. So we're treating them all equally. And now we combine them, because they're all the same size. Takes 20 to have a whole. 8 and 2 gets me 10. 5 more gets me 15. 15 20ths. And then, because remember I've talked about it in class, if it ends in a 5 or a 0, they're both multiple by 5 or divisible by 5. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 5 goes into 15 3 times. So that's simplification. Let's take a look at a word problem. On Monday, Kai purchased a guitar. Practiced a guitar for 2/3 of 1 hour. When she finished, she practiced piano for 3/4 of 1 hour. How much time did she spend practicing? So total practicing. So we're going to take these two amounts. We're going to take 2/3 and we're going to combine that with 3/4. And so thinking about your multiples, 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, 3 times 4, 3 times 5. Now let's do 4. 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3. There's our common. So that is our common denominator, because they have those multiples that are in common. So now we can come on over here and say these are going to become 12s. There, it takes 12 to have a whole. Look at what we've got. 3 times 4 got us that, so we have to multiply this one times 4 also. 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 3, according to this, 4 times 1 times 2 times 3, got us our 12. We have to multiply this one times the same number. 3 times 3, 9. Now when you combine these, 10 plus 8 would be 18, but this is 1 less than 18, so it's going to be 17. 17 twelfths. 12 gets you a whole. So I know that there's 1 12 in 17, because 2 12s would be 24. So there's one of them, and then we think about what's left over. 7, 6, 5. There's 5 left over. 5 twelfths. So we can say, Ka practiced. Practiced, not practices. A total of 1 5/15 of an hour. Period. That's that. So here's your homework for tonight. Cruising on up to our exit ticket. Here's 2 problems. It says make like units. Like units, where you're coming up with that common denominator so that they're the same size. And then add, combine them. I would like you to pick one of these 2 problems, and I'll see ya tomorrow.